Good morning, Husker fans, and welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. Everybody that's joining us on the social media channels on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Chris Peterson, and joining me as always is Danny Gillette, and we're back here for our Saturday morning chat. Coffee with Husker Big Red, as some might call it. We don't have a pregame today. We don't have any, basketball or football games today, and so yeah, we're just going to kind of talk about the future of the program. I mean, Matt Rhule kind of talked about it last night. He was asked about it, I guess, on Friday by Steve Sipple if this was a program reset or if it was just tweaking that needed to be done. Well, I guess Matt Rhule said it was just tweaking that needed to be done. It was Steve Sipple that asked him if this was a program reset, which he, took. I think Matt Rhule took umbrage with that question. So thought that would be kind of an interesting discussion point, but the floor is open for whatever anybody wants to talk about. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll get into the comment section. Danny, how are you on this Saturday morning?
Good. Just sitting here wondering why I'm not a Nebraska media member, because I mean, it seems like they ask all the hard-hitting questions and the real go-getters. So I'm just wondering why I'm not credentialed yet.
Well, you do work for Cornhuskers Wire, so I mean, you're definitely getting up there. So maybe you'll be in the press conference here before too long, Danny. And then you can stop with the softball questions.
I don't know. I can't keep shooting my mouth if I'm a big media member. So maybe I do want to stay just kind of lower in the totem pole, so to speak. But we'll see. Somebody has to ask these questions.
You think maybe Sean Callahan proofreads the questions beforehand, so make sure that nobody asks anything too crazy,
Should Sean Callahan proofread his questions?
No, I was just making a joke.
I was going to say, why are they so bad? Because if he proofreads, he should just throw out the whole damn question sometimes. But anyway.
Yeah, I was just saying maybe they have like a person that they have to pass that get their approval from before they're allowed to ask it. So I don't know.
Well, that would explain a lot of Mitch Sherman's questions as well. So, I mean, maybe they do. Maybe. But anyway.
I did think it was interesting, and I see we got a few people filtering in here. Good morning, James.
James is always ready, and so is Co. Good morning, guys.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, so I guess let's start, unless anybody else has anything to talk about. I think some of the most pressing things here, obviously, are Nebraska needs a D-line coach still. So that'll be an interesting thing to see where that kind of goes, and then the quarterback room and just kind of this bowl game, I guess, coming up. But with Sipple asked, Matt Rhule, is this a program reset? Like I said, that was as fired up as I've seen him be, and I did like his energy in that press conference. I liked a lot of the things that he said. But yeah, do you agree with what he said? Just kind of tweaking him. I thought it was interesting. He said, we should have won 9 games this year, and so I don't know. It's just the whole thing is kind of interesting, and I just think that there are some little tweaks that do need to be made, and hopefully, he's been making the right ones. I like the moves I like the offseason Nebraska's had so far. I think they've made some really good coaching decisions. Lonnie Teasley is going to be the run game coordinator. That was another thing that came out yesterday, and I really like that. I like adding 2 offensive line coaches. I like that Matt Rhule said, I need to coach more football. That was probably, of all the things he said at that press conference yesterday, that was my favorite thing that he said. He said, when I was at Temple Mid, I always was in the D-line room doing things like that, and I got away from that stuff. And so, yeah, I thought, yeah, you do need to coach more football, because I think he is a good football coach. So, yeah, I think he does have the program trending in the right direction, and this is a critical offseason. We're just kind of getting into it. But what are your thoughts on what Matt Rhule said last night?
I think it is a tweak, and quite honestly, it was kind of a dumb question. I mean, program reset would be cleaning house after like 2-10 or 4-8, because we've been there before. And I think this is just tweaks. And, a lot of the fan base is talking like the program has won, 4 games the past 2 seasons, when in reality they're making another bowl game. They're trying to fix a lot of what went wrong last season, and the trajectory, I think, of this program is going up overall. And it seems like a lot of fans, forget how bad this program was before he got here. And it was kind of interesting to hear him kind of mention, the rebuild that they had to do. I think he said something to the effect of like, he didn't realize how bad it was until he got here. So, I mean, that was interesting too.
Yeah, I think he said if people knew how bad it was when we got here, they'd be amazed at what we've done. That was one of the quotes I remember he said. He also said the program was dead for 10 years. So, I mean, yeah, pretty accurate. It's hard to argue with that. I mean, it was pretty, pretty down from the moment that, Mike Riley took it over. So, yeah, and then he also mentioned, not making progress as quickly as Indiana, which, I mean, that's Indiana's the thing that probably drives a lot of coaches crazy. But he did also mention, other coaches
Drives
that
a
were
lot of the
hired.
fans crazy. I'm not surprised he said that at all. Every time I hear it, Indiana this, Indiana that, and I think it is, and I think it does drive everybody crazy. But I think what St. Annie's done has been tremendous. But I think trying to measure yourself against Indiana is very hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's done the greatest coaching job I've ever seen in college football history in 2
Yeah.
seasons. So, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, Matt Rhule hasn't done the best job in college football history. That's a high bar to meet, but there's nobody that's ever, through these 2 seasons, in my opinion, that's ever coached better than Curt Cignetti. I mean, it's been incredible. So, yeah, I mean, because that program didn't. I mean, I know Nebraska was dead or whatever, but the Indiana football program basically never existed. I mean, it was a. I mean, first of all, when you're a program at a basketball school, that's one issue. It's hard. That's why you don't see Kentucky and Louisville and these programs like Duke. Basketball programs don't really compete. There's not very many that can do both, that can compete for football and basketball national championships, because it's just a hard thing to do. And the football program gets ignored. And the fact that he went there, without any type of, like, he didn't have really any advantages. It wasn't like, it's not like Indiana has a ton of money. I mean, I know they have money now, but it's just the dude knows how to coach. He knows how to evaluate. And yeah, that's a kind of a unicorn situation. I do agree with Matt Rhule that, they probably should have won 9 games this year. They probably should have won 9 games the year before, or at least more. So they've got to just find a way to, get more advantages on the margins, I would say. And they need to, I think he's got it from the right, I think he's got the right perspective that they need to get back to building this thing from the inside out, which I think was always the goal going in, but it's different. They got, and I'm not saying that taking Rhule was a mistake, but they had to invest a lot in that position. And, it's hard to win with a young quarterback. And I think that's, I don't know. I'm not sure if that is a lesson that Matt Rhule has learned, though, because I mean, going like, what are they going to do at quarterback? Like, I don't know. He has expressed a lot of confidence in TJ Lateef, which I know when he's talking about players, you have to take it with a grain of salt, but I don't know. It's like, it does feel like there's a chance that they do kind of roll with TJ Lateef as the starter next year. And that is, I do think, a risky proposition. Not that he can't do it. It comes with a lot of risk.
Well, if you invest in the margins and if you invest in the line, and then that risk gets a little bit lessened, I would say. And again, he's not going to say he's unsure of these players publicly. So I'm very confident that TJ Lateef is not going to be the only quarterback in that room come fall. So, because you heard Dana Holgerson talk about it on Wednesday, and he basically said that we got to get the best players available. So, I mean, I think it's just Rhule trying to not bash his players in public. I mean, even with the Riola answer, he was very kind of, professional, I guess you could say, about the answer. He didn't bash anybody. He just wished them the best and hoped that he made the right decision and moved on. So I know it may sound like he wants to roll with Lateef next spring, but I think that Nebraska will invest in the quarterback room.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely get one. I mean, he mentioned like it's a room, I just think it's going to be interesting. Do they go for, proven type starter, a big money guy like, I don't know, a Sorsby I'm not
They
sure.
really
If
like
that's
Jaden
possible.
Craig, which I think is interesting.
Okay, is that where's he
Harvard.
from again? Okay.
And having watched some of his games up here, he is very good. I just wonder if he'll translate to the Big Ten, but he is a very talented quarterback. So I'm wondering if they go in that type of direction.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like there was Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, entered the transfer portal the other day. I thought that was interesting. He's got, I think, more passing yards and more touchdowns than anybody currently in the transfer portal. He's got 2 3,000-yard seasons. He did lead the Big 12 in interceptions, though. So, I mean, that's kind of one red flag, I guess I would say. Not really like a running quarterback. Another guy, though, that does kind of interest me that I think would be a good fit for Nebraska. Former Missouri quarterback, former Penn State quarterback, Bo Prabula, I think is how you pronounce his name. Anyways, he was kind of the backup to Drew Aller for a couple of years, transferred to Missouri this year, started most of the games this year. He had 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, completed 67% of his passes, had about 300 rushing yards, I think 6 rushing touchdowns. So not like, mind-blowing numbers, but really solid, completes a high percentage of passes. He's the kind of guy I think Nebraska needs, somebody that's, produced at a Power 4 level, that's played in the major conference, that's started games, that can run. And then that I feel like that would give you a good, somebody to really push TJ. And if TJ can beat out that guy, great. But also when you're running your quarterback, as Nebraska does seem to want to do, and that was one thing that Sean Callahan reported on Friday, is that in his tunnel talk or whatever it's called, basically he made the statement that Nebraska will never recruit a non-dual threat quarterback again. That's from Sean Callahan. So I thought that was interesting. That does kind of track with Matt Rhule's previous history. And when you plan on running your quarterback, you do need more than one. It's because we saw with TJ, and as we've seen with other quarterbacks, it can get a little bit risky. So he's a guy I feel like maybe they could pursue. Maybe they have some ties there, with some of the Missouri people on staff. I don't know. Those are a few guys kind of on my radar, because the other thing too is, like, if you get too big of a guy, then maybe TJ leaves too, because especially if it's like a multi-year guy, like he is looking for his opportunity to play too. So I don't know. It's a really interesting situation, and again, I wish that he was fully healthy, because I know he's missed some bowl practices already, and it's just like valuable time. And I feel like that would just be a really good evaluation to see, like, hey, where are you at after these bowl practices, and how do you play against, a top 15 team, a really good defense in a bowl game. I know bowl games are, glorified exhibitions and whatever, but I still feel like it is going to be a good chance for TJ, but I just wish he was like healthy to go through, just to get a real true look at him. But anyway, yeah, I think there's a lot of options. Zane Flores wouldn't be terrible. He didn't play great for Oklahoma State last year, but he was also a redshirt freshman. Like, that's the thing about quarterbacks, is it just, it takes time. And when you're a young quarterback, you often have to make mistakes before you get better. And, like with Rhule, Nebraska kind of had to live through some of those things. And so that's kind of the difficult thing now, is whoever gets him is getting a better quarterback than Nebraska got. Sure, part of that's offensive line and stuff like that too, but part of it's just, you go through those growing pains and you learn, like, hey, I can't throw these crossing routes here. You know what I mean? Like, you throw some of those interceptions, and that's how you learn. So I don't know. That's a whole thing of quarterback development. And I don't know, but we'll see. Quarterback development might not be, a huge thing in college football anymore, because it's just a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to get down.
Yeah, I mean, I think in order to develop a quarterback, you have to keep a quarterback for multiple years, and it's very hard to do in today's day and age. So I think development will still be a thing, but I don't know if it will be as much of a priority. I think keeping the quarterback will be the priority, especially if he's really valuable to your program.
And that's the thing. Like, I know everybody, wants to celebrate, Trey Taylor and act like that's a big victory, but I'm like, will he ever start for Nebraska? I mean, that's like, you kind of get to that point with these young quarterbacks. Like, it's great to get their commitment, but
Have you seen our quarterback? Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll start for Nebraska, honestly.
I mean, potentially. I mean, potentially, you don't know that though. I mean, USC is just, I mean, it's just like, you get big time quarterbacks in there, and they don't want to wait, or so I don't know. It's just, it's interesting.
I mean, after let's say TJ, for the sake of this conversation, after 2026, there really is, at this moment, nobody that's going to come in and challenge for the quarterback spot unless TJ has a great year, and you have to think that this transfer portal quarterback, if they get one enough to challenge TJ, isn't going to be necessarily a multi-year fix.
Yeah. Let's get to, sorry, I didn't see these comments. Let's see what Co says here. Sorry, Co, missed this comment from you. Coach kind of went crybaby on his response. Come on, man, just cleaned house. You have to expect a question like that in terms of like the program reset. And then didn't he say last year during bowl season he needed to coach more too? I don't remember
last year.
I don't remember that per se. I definitely think he could do less podcasting, but yeah, I mean, I think the reason that Sipple brought this question, and I was listening because I listened to some of his podcast after Rhule left, after that announcement was made, and his question, it's kind of more like aimed at, is Matt Rhule going to try, like, so he's saying it's not a program reset now. Okay, but what Sipple's point is what is Matt Rhule going to say this season when they play a tough schedule and they're sitting there with a 3-4 record or a 3-5 record? Was he, is he going to say, hey, this offseason was a reset? And so I think he was trying to like kind of get ahead of him on that, and just kind of like lay out the expectations for what the season is. But so I don't know. I think that's kind of where that question came from. And so it's kind of like looking ahead a little bit. Because Matt Rhule could be in a tough situation this year where, the team doesn't look great. And you could be looking at a fourth straight season with a losing record in Big Ten play. And frankly, I don't care where Nebraska started at. That's just, you should be better than that. Like, you should be able to have a winning record in Big Ten play by year 3 or 4. I just don't care where you started. I just don't think that's a very good excuse. Like, programs can be built so quickly nowadays. Like, I mean, I get what he's saying, and I understand that there were struggles, but you're getting paid $10 million a year. Like, there's a reason for that. You're supposed to, like, you got paid that money to clean this up. So, like, I understand. I am sympathetic in some ways to his message, but I also kind of understand, like, where Co's coming from a little bit too. Like, you are getting paid a very high amount of money to achieve a certain amount of success, and you haven't really achieved that yet. So, I don't know. I can see both sides of the argument with this thing.
Yeah, I can see both sides too. I mean, I think the program is better than when he first came here. I do think there's another level that the program needs to get to, but I don't know if this year is going to be the year that they can get there.
Yeah, I mean, they got to start making progress. I mean, whether the schedule is what it is, but I think just the way that they got destroyed the last 2 games was definitely not progress. And so I think they need to be better. They need to be better in the trenches. And that's the first thing, is whatever happens at quarterback is not going to matter until they get better in those areas. And that's just the truth of it. So, Jeep Wade, Lonnie Teasley, like, they need to bring in some of these guys, and they need to get to work on the defensive line. Unfortunately, not going to have Elijah Robinson coaching the defensive line, which is disappointing. So they need to get somebody there, that they need to get a proven recruiter and developer there. It can't be, like, Terry Brayton was a risk and it didn't work out. And so
you got hired really quickly, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're on. I mean, yeah, you want to get it. It'd be nice to have it done before the portal, So
no, I said he got hired really quickly. Brayton did.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It'll just be interesting to see what happens with that position. But yeah, and it takes time to build the staff, but I think that's, I mean, Matt Rhule's missed on, staff members as much as he's missed on players, and that's been a problem. So he's, like, from a head coach perspective, he's got to get better at that. He just has to start hitting on some of these things, or eventually he's going to be the one that gets fired. You can only fire so many assistant coaches.
Yeah. I definitely understand that as well, and I'm hoping he can make the right set of hires this time around. And Terry Brayton joins Tim Beck and Brian Hartline over at USF, so that was interesting.
Yeah, good for him. I don't think he's. I didn't realize he got hired already. I didn't realize that's what you're saying.
He was put in a really shitty spot, I'll say that. So I am glad he got hired right away.
Yeah, it was a interesting spot. Just kind of a weird hire when you look back at it. But I mean, sometimes those guys work out, the NFL guys, to college. And it was a tough spot recruiting wise, and so
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, they need to get somebody that has some established recruiting chops, because, like, you can't go a class without defensive line prospects. I know they're trying to recruit a guy in 2026 that's like a late 4-star, which would be good. He's a big dude. Because they need size. They need big guys. So yeah, that would help. But you just can't go a class without, defensive line prospects. And they just have not recruited, like, pass rushers. They haven't recruited pass rushers and D linemen very well. So they need to get that sorted out. if they're going to start competing with the better teams in this conference.
Agreed. Definitely agree there. We'll see what they do.
So it's going to be, I guess, another thing. Malcolm Hartzog entering the transfer portal on Friday, so he won't be back next season. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, he was so frustrating because he had so much potential. When they moved him to corner, that really screwed him over. When he was a safety, he was a little bit better, but he was just so frustrating to me at times. I really, his best play obviously will be the interception against Cincinnati, but I feel like he never reached his full potential here. And then someone when I posted that on X said that he maxed out his full potential. So I mean, either way, I think it was probably time for him to go. I certainly appreciate his contributions, but to me, he was probably one of the most frustrating Nebraska players over these past couple of years. So I'm hoping he gets a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, he made a really big impact, excuse me, as a freshman, and then he just never really made that next step. He has good ball skills, but was a kind of a low-ranking 3-star recruit coming out of high school. Made a nice impact, like I said, right away as a freshman. 3 interceptions that freshman year. He had 4 interceptions last season, so 8 career interceptions. I do think he's better in that, that nickel slot role. He's not a true corner. I don't know that he's a true safety either. He is kind of that hybrid guy, but he's got a knack for getting his hands on the ball. So, somebody will get a solid player from him. 8 interceptions, 13 pass breakups, 4.5 tackles for loss. So yeah, I mean, not the worst career for a 3-star guy. I think he's from like Mississippi, so maybe maybe he'll find a way to get with an SEC program or something like that. But so that's kind of the first, at least starting level player for Nebraska that's leaving via the transfer portal. And that'll be opening up here in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be really interesting. We've talked about it before, but they need to add some running back. They need to get a running back, I think. I don't know, man. I outside of running back, my focus really is just, wide receiver, or not wide receiver, excuse me, offensive line and defensive line. Wide receiver maybe a little bit, if they could get a big time playmaker, but I also feel like they could kind of use another corner, but I don't know. I do like Andrew Marshall. Hopefully he's back. You just never know. If you can't really confidently say that anybody's back until the transfer portal closes. You know what I mean? But he'd be a good place to start with. Sarah Wright was really good this year, so he'd be the guy I hopefully would try to replace. But I know you got Donovan Jones and some other, get some of those Miami guys, Sanders, Tarver, some of those dudes. So I think, it'll be kind of interesting to see how that cornerback room works out.
And aren't teams that are currently in the college football playoffs, aren't they allowed to enter their name as soon as their team loses or something like that? Is it 10 days?
See, I don't know that the rules have kind of changed a little bit. I don't think they can enter now until January. I think it's just January 2nd. They might be able to after their loss, after their team loses out. I'm not sure. But I know that the rules have changed. Whereas like before if your coach was fired, you had 30 days from the day he was fired to enter the transfer portal. Now you have, and this, I think this is better. I think they fixed this. Now you have 30 days from the day the new coach is hired to enter the transfer portal. So, which makes sense because that gives the team a chance to hire somebody, and then the players can, meet the coach before they have to make their decision. So I feel like that makes more sense. So there will still be guys that, can enter the transfer portal. I think that's like with Michigan, and they're probably going to be trying to, time that hire around the same time as the portal will be opening. So I don't think there's going to be like, extra time frames, but if Michigan hires a coach from somebody, that team will then be in a similar situation where they would be, so there could be some talent in the portal down the road either way. It's been interesting. You haven't seen any defections from Michigan so far in terms of the transfer portal. So we'll see if that continues or excuse me, we'll see if that continues or not. Like I said, the one guy I would watch from a Nebraska perspective is Andrew Sprague, who they were definitely in the top 2 or 3. So if that guy enters the portal, I would get out the checkbook instantly for him if I was Nebraska.
You're seeing a lot of South Carolina guys enter the portal as well, so I'll be interested to see how many land here. Offensive lineman.
Yeah, and I know they've been in contact with some of them. One I think was a freshman, all SEC freshman in the SEC, like big 6'6", 334 pounds. So
Mm-hmm.
it'd be kind of interesting because Nebraska's offensive line before didn't really have many guys like that. It's kind of built to be more of a zone blocking team. I would say they did start to do some more power things last year with Emmett Johnson. And they added a few packages with like extra offensive linemen. So I don't know. This is going to be interesting because that's probably not like a core thing that you see a lot in the air raid system.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly zone stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I like that they brought in like an offensive line guy to be the run game coordinator. I thought that was it's kind of interesting because he just got fired. So it's kind of like, but anyway, I do think kind of trying to pair that up with what they're doing in the passing game, I think would be a good thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, I don't think he's necessarily going to coach the offensive line. Teasley is a damn good recruiter, so I think his skills will mostly be used for that.
And like I said, it's hard. South Carolina have like the most difficult schedule of all time this year. So it's just sometimes you get put in a tough spot. It's just the way that with these new mega conferences, like sometimes some of these teams, like for lack of a better term, they just get screwed because the schedule is just so unbalanced. I'm not sure if Ohio State could have played the South Carolina schedule and gone unblemished. You know what I mean? It's just insane. And so I'm not really going to look at the performance of South Carolina and say, well, that's all on Lonnie Teasley. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other factors that go into it. So, which I know fans just tend to do that way too much. It's, fans overreact to watching the game last night, and it was, because the Michigan side of things were paying close attention to it. And then they were happy when Oklahoma got up 17-0, but then they're like, do we want a coach who's getting blown out in the playoff? And then of course they come back and win. So it just kind of shows you that like,
what a game.
Yeah. And that might be college football playoff Saturday. Should be pretty fun. I think we got A&M. I guess you'll be watching the Miami A&M game pretty closely, right?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Maybe looking at Rhule as the next quarterback at Miami. So we'll see. Yeah,
maybe. I do think Miami's going to win that game. I'll go on record, because I just don't think Texas A&M's that good. They did beat Notre Dame, but it's like
they almost lost.
Who Notre Dame beat?
Well, and this was the Miami fans, biggest anger, and I get it. When Notre Dame was initially in the college football playoff, like Miami should have been in there over Notre Dame, and luckily the committee got it right. I'll come the final rankings, but I guess my Miami is your Michigan, so there we go. Yeah, you have your Michigan references, and I'll always reference back to Miami, but I'm definitely interested in today's game. I'm excited for today's game, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a good slate of games.
Do you think the group of 5 teams are gonna just get massacred? Or do you think they'll put up a fight today?
No, they're not gonna put up a fight. I hope they put up a fight. But what is it? James Madison in Oregon, and then Tulane and
Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Which here's the one thing is Ole Miss and Tulane played earlier this year, and it was like 41-14 or something. Like Ole Miss won by a lot, but that makes me feel like it could maybe be a close game, because like sometimes when you beat somebody like that, you definitely get overconfident. Like it's just you just have this mind. Like, and when I played high school football way back in the day, like we got matched up in our state championship game with a team we played in our conference, and we like destroyed them like 42-19. So when we were matched up against them, we were like, oh, we're state champs, and we lost. So I just feel like
back in the leather helmets days.
Back in the leather helmet days, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like maybe that, and then they have the whole like no lane Kiffin being there, but I don't know. Maybe Ole Miss will like be more motivated for that. I do think Ole Miss will win, but I think Tulane will keep it somewhat close. But yeah, I think Oregon's going to roll against James Madison.
Which is pretty much the story of Oregon's whole season. Yeah, they're good, but I don't know if they're college football playoff good, to be honest with you. You look at their schedule, it's kind of silly, but we'll see.
So they beat what, USC, right?
Yeah.
And Iowa. They beat Iowa on the road. They beat USC.
I'm looking at their schedule right now, and I'll read down the schedule, and then you could tell me And you
They
could
did
tell
beat
me,
Penn State at home, which are on the road, which is still kind of impressive, but not as impressive as it
not
looked.
really. We just sucked. So you made them look really good. Okay, so they opened up in August with Montana State.
Who's in the FCS semifinals today, by the way.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they weren't very good this year.
Northwestern.
Yeah, 6-6, I guess.
Oregon State.
I feel like they kind of sucked. I don't. Yeah, they fired their coach, so I feel like they had a down year this year in the Pac
They
too.
they beat Penn State.
In overtime.
Lost to Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. That was the eye opener for me for Indiana. But yeah, continue.
Beat Rutgers.
Meh.
Beat Wisconsin.
Meh.
Beat Iowa.
I mean, somewhat. I mean, it was a win on the road at Iowa, but Iowa easily could have won that game. Probably should have won that game.
Yeah, they should have. I think they were up at one point.
Yeah. And
Beat
I think
Minnesota.
they had a weird special teams play or something, but yeah, Minnesota, man, they sucked. I mean, I shouldn't say they sucked because they beat the crap out of us. So I mean,
well, we also kind of.
I mean, I would say met. So yeah, continue.
Beat USC with a good win. I'll give them that
win,
one.
yeah. I mean, at home though, but
beat
yeah.
Washington. Yeah.
I mean, and that was a good win, but I mean, honestly, if Dylan doesn't get hurt, I think we beat USC. But
I agree.
I mean,
the Montana State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma State are kind of, that's pretty easy.
Although I was impressed with the way that they, like when they played Oklahoma State, it was like 69-3 or something. And I was like, oh my God, these guys must be pretty good. So I don't know.
That's exactly the scores, yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the second round of games, like Indiana, Alabama at the Rose Bowl, sign me up for that. That's going to be a fun one. Signetti and Kalen DeBoer. I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's going to be close. I don't, but yeah, baby, I don't know.
I still don't understand why people want Kalen DeBoer fired. I mean, they're in the second round of the playoff
because they're crazy. But and then so the winner of Miami and A&M will go to Ohio State, or they'll play in whatever bowl game. I don't know which one they're going to. And then Ole Miss would play Georgia, and then Oregon against Texas Tech. If that's how it all works out, that'd be a pretty fun series of games, I feel like. So could be earlier though. I mean, we could have had those games this week. We should have had these first round matchups last week, played these quarterfinal games this week, had the semifinals January 1st, and then, but whatever. They'll never listen to me.
I mean, that makes a little bit more sense, but nothing in college football makes sense anymore. So
no, the January 27th. I mean, I know it's not that late, but seems like it. That just is too late for me.
Well, no, it's like January 20, like January, probably let's see. It was
I think it's like the 18th or 19th or yeah. So I mean, it could be the 20th. It's too far, man. Like the January, like even when it was like January 8th, like that felt like that was almost too far. But I was like okay, it's one game, I can deal with it. But
now it's just way too far.
Yeah. So yeah, and then you're probably right. The players after that game probably do have 10 days to enter the transfer portal. I don't know though. I haven't double checked that rule. So
we'll see. We'll see if Nebraska can make any noise there. We'll see.
Okay, let's see here. Is this Borkacher? I don't think that's how you spell it, but close enough. And Brown are going to score all the TDs to throw it in Nebraska's face.
Brown?
Shamar Brown for Miami.
Oh. Yeah, that's why we missed out on badly.
That would be, that would be perfectly Nebraska. Like Borkacher has like 110 yards and 2 tutties, and then like
we missed out on Shamar Brown badly. Like that was one I wish we really could have had back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe we'll get another chance though. Maybe there'll be another chance.
I mean, again, who's going to say no to Miami, who's currently in the college football playoff, and versus Nebraska? I mean.
True.
They could offer all the money in the world, and somebody would still want to go to Miami. So,
I do think we have to be able to get a good running back. What do you think about the SEC moving away from having their easy schedules and doing the 9+1 Power 4 opponent? I would hope the Big follows suit. Nebraska's non-conference is embarrassing next year. I do think it's good for college football, and I would like to see. Yeah, I think every team. I think we should all have the same parameters. If the Power 4 conferences are going to say, hey, we're all the Power 4 conferences, they should all play 9 conference games, and they should all play one, like the SEC is doing one Power 4 opponent. That gives you 10 10 games. You still have 2 throwaway games, which is what I like to call them. I hate them. I hate them, but I mean they are important, I guess, but they're, preseason or whatever. But yeah, I think
Well,
it's
I
I
mean,
think it's
as Notre
better.
Dame showed Miami, Miami had to beg, well, not beg, but Miami had to really work their way to make the college football playoff after beating a non-conference, semi-good team in Notre Dame, and they barely made the playoff anyway. So it's almost like these scheduling tough games doesn't really matter anyway.
I mean, I think there is a case to be made that the committee needs to reward teams for their schedule, which, I mean, at the end of the day, they did do the right thing and put Miami in, because that would have sent a terrible message. But I mean, the team I think that does have a very strong case for this is Texas, because who they beat Oklahoma, right? Texas beat Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they beat Oklahoma. If they don't play Ohio State at the start of the year, they're 10-2, and they beat Oklahoma. So how are they not in the playoff? You know what I mean? So I do understand where teams are coming from, where it's like the committee's not really, they're not doing what they said they were going to do.
I highly doubt they even watch the games anyway. Like, I highly doubt that they know,
and
each team and their tendencies and stuff like that. And they just watch the last 2 games of the season and they're like, hey, let's figure this out.
Because I mean, you look at it, if Oklahoma hosted Michigan, Texas went to Ohio State. Those games mattered more in the playoff race than their head-to-head matchup did.
They also beat Vandy and Texas A&M. So Texas did. So
yeah. So I mean, they've beaten, and they won handily too over A&M. So, I don't know. That's why when people say like maybe we should expand to 16 teams, like I don't hate that idea. I don't hate it. I don't want I would rather have a 24 team playoff I would rather cut out a week of regular season games and have a 24 team playoff than, you know what I mean? Like, just cut out, like, I get there's probably going to be some lopsided games if you do that, but we already have a week of like teams playing FCS teams anyway. So just lop that week off and add a week to the playoff. That's what I say. But I know nobody likes that idea.
Well, I don't like the 24 team playoff, but I do like the schedule idea overall.
I just like it because I think if you add 24 teams, then it's like, I feel like it takes some of the schedule variety out of it. Like, say you're South Carolina, we go back to them as an example. Like, they have a really tough schedule, right? But what if they, say they go 8-4 against that schedule? Well, maybe that, maybe in a 24 team system, you make it and they do have a chance to win some games. So I don't know. It's probably not going to, it'll probably get to 16 and then it'll probably stay there, and that'll be fine. I'll be happy with that. I also could see, you could make a strong case that you could go back to 4 or 8. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I do like this expanded playoff a little bit. We'll see how it works out, though.
Yeah, we'll see. But
I don't think they're going to ever go back, though, because of the TV money. So
no, they've realized that it's extremely lucrative. So I don't think they will go back. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't mind embarrassing non-conference games because it's becoming more clear as the days go on that even strong non-conference games are a struggle to have counted anyway. So, I mean,
the committee. Yeah, I don't know. The committee is terrible.
I agree. Yeah,
say what it is. The committee is freaking horrible. They're inconsistent. There's no consistency from even within their own set of rankings. So,
I was gonna say they don't follow their own rules that they laid out on their website. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, it does. It's a disaster, is what it is.
I don't know how they organize the committee or, what their criteria is to be on the committee. I know Troy Dannon's on it, but man, this committee is rough. This committee is really, really rough.
Yeah, and they've just, I mean, really from the first year, they moved. I remember TCU was in there, and then they moved TCU down, which I think was the right decision at the time. Ohio State ended up winning the championship that year, so I mean, I think that it worked out, but
they left Florida out. That was a big, or Florida State, excuse me, out. That was a big bone of contention as well.
Yeah, when they had the undefeated record. I
think they moved Florida State out because of Jordan Travis being hurt, but still, Florida State should have been in, no matter who the quarterback was at the time.
Yeah, I mean, they won the games they had to win, so it's really interesting how that all worked out. I just think they're really inconsistent, and that's the hard thing about it. It never made sense that they had Notre Dame where they did. It just, and it's like that's the whole thing of going back, when Georgia lost a couple of years ago, it was like, well, Georgia's still the best team. Well, they lost though. That's, the New England Patriots were the best team in 2011 or 2007. I mean, they went 18-0, but you know what? They didn't win their 19th game. So they're not Super Bowl champions. That's life. That's how it works. Like
trying to make me drink this early in the morning, Chris. I don't like it.
Sorry, man. I know it hurts, but like that's the thing is like, you can't sit there and be like, well, the Patriots were the better team. They lost that game and Georgia lost that year. So I don't know. Like that's the argument. And that I feel like that was the argument with Notre Dame this year. It's like, well, they lost to Miami, but look what they almost beat A&M and they beat all these other teams by 50 points. And it's like, well, if they were so great though, they should have won on the field. They should, they had multiple chances this season to beat a team that was in the college football playoff. They didn't do it. So I feel zero sympathy for you.
And on the games that weren't like college football playoff teams, they had cupcakes the rest of the way. Like Boston College and like Syracuse was not good this year, and things like that. So their strength of schedule wasn't even really that great when you looked at it.
Yeah, it's like I get they beat up on Pitt, but so did Miami. They beat up on Arkansas. They had a close game against USC. It was like they didn't, and that was at home. Their best win was against a, not a mediocre team, but it's not like USC was a playoff team this year. So it's like, if you want to be in the playoff, you have to kind of beat playoff teams. And they didn't do that. They had 2 chances this year. They lost them both. So it's like, you don't deserve another chance, in my opinion. So I'm glad the committee did get that one right. Yeah. And, hopefully someday we'll be, in the conversation of the committee. But yeah, who knows? Who knows when will that
be? I hope so. Right now we're just trying to find a quarterback and a running back. 2 running backs.
Yeah, I don't
know.
Yeah, at least one. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any favorites in the running back portal list yet, but there's a guy from North Carolina.
I really like.
Yeah, I like the guy from UConn, yeah. And Barthel probably has a connection there, so that might work.
I don't know why people are hating on EJ Barthel still, because I think he's done a solid job this season, especially.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job. Recruited fairly well, I think. So, they're in the mix for another running back that's going to be making a decision soon. But yeah, I mean, running back is definitely they need to
Xavier Balla, right? I really like him.
Yeah, Xavier Balla, which would be nice. Add another.
Hollywood Smothers is the guy I was thinking of from North Carolina State.
Okay, yeah, Hollywood Smothers. Yeah, he would be good. I feel like that's one thing Nebraska can sell. They just had an All-American running back, and they have a great, that they have an opening, a perfect fit for someone to step in and kind of take on that role. So we'll see if they can make it happen. It'll be kind of fun to just get to, we're a couple weeks away from the portal. It'll be kind of fun to get to that when that happens. And
coming into the season, I didn't think that EJ Barthel and the running back room would be the biggest selling point of the program. Following the conclusion of the year, but here we are.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how they go about, attacking that position.
He's good too. And I think if you can get him and maybe another guy, that would be good. I don't know how much you're going to spend on the running back position, but that's why I think this bowl game is going to be good for a guy like Mosey and Ives again and stuff like that, just to see what they can do.
And Nelson, I want to see what Nelson can do. I do think Mosey to me looks like the most capable of being, maybe a starter. I think that they both have, ability. But yeah, getting the guy from Minnesota would be nice. I'm sure some other guys will be entering the portal too. I think there'll be chances.
Jalen Lucas wouldn't be bad either. Wouldn't mind him, the Florida State running back. So yeah, I think there'll be options to choose from. We'll just have to see what they do.
Yeah, so it's gonna be because when I was looking at the top 10 players in the portal right now, there's not like a ton of stars in there. It's a lot of quarterbacks, but kind of waiting for other players to get in there. So see, it's going to be interesting just with the rev share and everything now. If there's as many players going into the portal as there were before.
Yeah. So I mean, Nebraska's going to need to spend. It's going to be interesting to see how they allocate their resources. Because we all have our wish list and what they should spend on and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to see what the program does.
Chili's and Frazier from Michigan State. So, or Childs, I guess Aiden Childs. Yeah,
Childs,
Frazier,
no.
I don't
Frazier,
mind.
yes.
Yeah, Frazier, I'd be okay with. Let me pull up his stats here. So Mekhi Frazier is the running back we're looking at here.
He had a
He
decent
was
game against us, but then again, who didn't? I
he was a
guess.
sophomore last year, so 116 carries, 520 yards, 4.5 yards per attempt. Had a 100-yard game against Michigan. I didn't realize that. 14 for 109 yards, 58 against UCLA and Nebraska. So I think he's got some ability. 14 for 61 yards against USC. 7 for 1 against Indiana. But I mean, what do you expect? I'm sure the Michigan State offensive line was trash. So, yeah, 100-yard game against Western Michigan, 81 yards against Boston College. So I'd be all right with the running back. I'm not in on Childs, the quarterback. I do think he has talent, but I think that's just too much of a reclamation project. I think he'll probably go to Northwestern. That's like the Northwestern kind of move. Like take a really talented guy that no other team kind of wants, and like they got the Clemson quarterback and Preston Stone. Like I just feel like that's a Northwestern move.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I thought Preston Stone did okay last season, so
Yeah, he wasn't bad. I mean, they won 6 games, so. But yeah, I trying to think of it. I do like the kid from Missouri. I feel like, because honestly, with Childs, like I don't like Latif might be better than Childs after like we might just be better going with Latif.
I would like to see them at least kick the tires at the quarterback position.
Oh no, they will for sure. I'm just saying just whether it's Childs or Chili. I don't know how you pronounce the kid's name. But yeah, I think whether it was him specifically, I think Nebraska might be better off. But honestly, I think it could end up just being like a Zane Flores or somebody who can kind of push him for the job. Yeah, I know. It's when you look at the quarterbacks, like there's not that many good ones, and Miami needs a quarterback, Oregon needs a quarterback, Texas Tech needs a quarterback, LSU is going to need a quarterback. So, is Nebraska going to be able to outbid any of those teams for quarterbacks? Probably not. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think there'll still be some more guys that will flood in there, but yeah, I think they're going to have to, get some work, and for sure, it's still early. Yeah, no question. But
I would be surprised to see them land Jaden Craig because I'm hearing that they're very, very high on him. So I think Craig would be a solid addition, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, something like that wouldn't be, an experienced guy from a lower program, FCS program, or
He's pretty good at Harvard.
So I mean, the Ivy League's not really known as being a strong league in the FCS, but that doesn't mean that they can't be successful. So yeah, it'll be interesting. They need to get somebody that can push him and be a legitimate option. I don't think they can just bring in somebody that's going to be the backup. So.
Did you see Pat Fitzgerald hired LeVar Woods away from Iowa?
I did. Yeah, that was a good hire.
Yeah. Right, interesting.
Yeah, that was a great hire by MSU, by Michigan State. I think Pat Fitzgerald's a really good coach. So we'll see. I think if anybody can get that program, they're dead. They're as horrible. They're as bad as Nebraska's been. So if anybody can resurrect that program to respectability, it's Pat Fitzgerald.
For sure.
So, all right, you guys. If you have any final comments or questions, I got a couple more minutes here and got to start wrapping up. So if you have any other thoughts, this would be a great time to kind of throw them into the chat. Thanks for everybody for hanging out today. So yeah, we got. I'm gonna say Miami wins today, and then I'm gonna say Ole Miss and Oregon, and I think. I think Oregon will cover Ole Miss. I'm not so sure. I haven't seen what the spread is, but if there was like one team on upset watch today, I would make it Ole Miss just because with Kiffin missing, and then they'll probably come out and win 42-3. So
yeah. So we'll see. I mean, Pete Golding's not a bad coach at all. So
yeah, I think he'll be good. And what's really gonna be what would have been interesting is if DeBoer had gone to like Michigan, then what would have Alabama had done? Probably would have tried to hire Lane Kiffin.
I'm hearing Kenny Dillingham for Michigan, so I bet you're happy.
Hopefully they have to get him though. They have to get it done. So Hopefully, but yeah, I was talking about him months ago, and people were saying who would Nebraska hire if Matt Rhule went away. So, yeah, we'll see how it works out. I think that would be a good hire for Michigan, but got to get the deal done now. They waited for DeBoer, and I thought that was kind of a mistake. So we'll see if that comes back to bite him or not.
I'm manifesting a defensive line coach next week. That's what I'm manifesting.
Yeah, there hasn't been any buzz about that at all. So hopefully Matt Rhule has something up his sleeve there. So,
supposedly a Robinson decision is going to be done by Monday, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, Callahan's saying he's going to A&M now, so who knows? But hopefully Nebraska will get somebody there. I feel like they've got some good hires already, so I trust Matt to get it done. And we will go ahead and wrap it up there, you guys. We'll be back on Monday. We'll recap. There's some Nebraska basketball things on Sunday. So Nebraska's playing North Dakota, trying to get to 12-0. So we'll talk a little bit about that and anything else that happens this weekend. So come and hang out with us. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get into the comment section. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.